G'day ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Draw with Jazza. I'm Jazza and this is the Let's Draw video where you guys join me live on justin.tv. Link is in the description if you want to join me in the future, and this week's request is by Durf and it's Megaman. So first things first, I want to start off by sketching the basic proportions, the shape of his pose and motion with just some simple circles and lines. So I'm going to give him a bit of a chibi look. And I really don't need to do more than that, just a really rough, sketchy sort of circle with a chin. Bring out a little bit of where the neck will go and then start to shape the torso. So this will be the upper torso, and I'm going to pose his body on this sort of a curve. So I'm going to have his spine curved in, and from his pelvis, his legs will shoot out to the sides. His front arm is going to come forward like this. He's going to be holding his gun in front of him, and his other arm is going to be tucked in, kind of like, you know, in a ready to fight position. So he has these big bulky arms, so rather than just doing lines for the forearms, I'm just doing large sort of shapes to kind of fill in where it will go, whereas with the other limbs I started off with just sort of lines to give a bit of direction. And now I can start to add a little bit of thickness to them. So bring out the leg a bit and then really branch out to where these bulky feet go. Now, one thing that's nifty to keep in mind when you're drawing this sort of a pose is to have the frontmost leg come forward further and then the back leg just to be a little further behind. And that adds to the sense of depth in the image and really pushes a little bit more of a perspective than it would be if his feet were at the same level. Now that I've got the very basic sketch happening, I'm going to start adding the details on top, not on stop. So for example, here I'll be adding the hand and then start refining things like the details of where the pelvis underpants things start and end, the shape of the line work on the image, and I'm going to go through that and do that for the whole image. Now that I've got my shapes and figures and details all sorted, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and I'm going to use some fine liner and Sharpie. There's a couple of things I'm going to be doing. I'm going to add some extra dark areas. So for example here, I'll shade this in and add a line on the other side. And it's a simple sort of thing and have a bit of a metallic look. So you'll see that when I get to the end, when I get to doing some color, having some black and white shines will really help make the piece pop out a little bit. So in keeping that consistent in all the metal bits, we can really make it look metallic. Anyways, I'm going to go through with a fine liner and just do all the lines, and then with a Sharpie I'm going to add a really thick edge on the outside of the image. In fact, I might even use a black Copic marker and have a really thick edge, and that really, especially for an image as cartoony as this, will really make it pop out and stand quite solidly on its own. What I've done with the ink work is I've gone through, like you saw, with the fine liner first and done the basic outline, added the thicker outline with the Sharpie, and then when I went through and did the metallic work, I just made sure to be consistent. So for example, on the right side, I had usually one thick line that I often tried to shape with the geometry. So for example, with the bottom leg, I shape it to expand with the curve. And then on the left side, I have a few thinner lines, and I'm gonna have some white as well. Now on the next stage, I'm going to be doing some color, but to prepare for that, I'm going to erase my construction lines. And you'll see how very quickly an image starts to appear which looks a lot more refined than our sketch was, and the construction lines being present tend to make it look a little cheaper if we're going for that really hard-edged look. And another thing that happens is we tend to get that sort of dingy sort of look on the sides there because we get smudges on the sides of our hands. So when we erase all that off, we get a much cleaner look. There are two things I've shaded in a more different way as well, aside from the metal. Here we have this gem thing on the top of his head, and what I've done is added two highlights, and then I've done this dark sort of semicircle with very fine lines going out from it, and that kind of adds as like a gradient but with solid line. And then here in the eyes I've got two highlights as well because it's reflective, they're reflecting the same lights, and then I'm coloring in the pupil and have a slight darker area immediately under the eye as well, just to show where the shadow is landing from the top of the helmet. So now our image is ready for color, and these are the colors that I have. I have a light blue, a dark blue, and a red, and they are, for the most part, the colors of his costume. It won't comprise all of it because I haven't got a huge amount of colors available to me, but the Copic markers that I have, and these are called Copic markers, they're amazing quality by the way, were given to me by someone at the Art Jam, so big thank you to you know who you are. So let's start off with red, which is my favorite color, and I'm going to use the brush side and just really, as finely as I can, go through and keep it in the lines. And you'll notice that if I don't get it in the highlight area, then the dark area and the highlight area make it look quite like a reflective gem. Next, with the dark blue, what I'm going to do is show you how to make it look metallic, and basically it's as simple as making sure that there is some white and some black in that line work. So here we've got these lines that I've left. I'm going to have the line bit in the middle left completely white, dividing it so that here you can see as I do the outline of where I'm going to color, I'll keep white on the right side and on that left side there, and then I can use the other thicker side of this Copic marker like this, and then we have something that looks a little more metallic. So I'm going to go through now and do color to the rest of the image, and you'll see it as it evolves. Now that we've done that, ladies and gentlemen, there are two final things I want to do. The first is take a 2B pencil, relatively dark, and where I don't have a, bird sounds, where I don't have a grey Copic marker, I'm just going to, as smooth as I can, shade with this pencil. So this helps add a little more dimension to the piece. And then once I've finished that, I've got pretty much all the color and line work done, and the last thing I want to do is the final refining thing is use some liquid paper, shake it up a bit, and I'm going to use this in two ways. First and foremost, I'm going to clean up some of the bits where I went over the edges. And then the last thing I'm going to use it for is to create some highlights. So for example, I've left some white on this metallic surface to kind of create more of a metallic look, but in the highlights of the eyes, I have these little dots. So I'm going to use this to add some of these streaks, some of these little dots, and this helps reinforce the reflective nature of the surface. And I'm just kind of going for a roughly two that follow the geometry of the character or whatever surface it's on. And now that I've done that, we've added that last metallic look and I'm happy with the result. I can't forget that, of course, the very last thing to do is dedicate this to Durf from the live stream. So thank you, Durf. And that is Megaman. So thank you for joining me, ladies and gentlemen, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Until next time, I'll see you later.